to another issue of Hops Geek News. We are a dynamic duo of podcasters that each week we get together and we talk about comic books, movies, TV shows, and we typically drink a delicious craft beer because it is 2022 and we can do these sorts of things because of the hipsters and elder millennials that we are. That said, I am Matt. My co-host, trusty friend in the force right here is Lauren. And today we have a really good episode for you. So we are going to talk about some news, some things that we have messed up on previously, some things that we are reading and watching. But more importantly, this is our Thor Love and Thunder pre-show. We are going to be joined by a couple of amazing people later on to talk about Mighty Jane Foster, Gorr the God Butcher, and Thor Love and Thunder to prepare you for this week's epic release. If you don't know how our show works, I just explained it to you. If you don't know where to find it, go ahead, go to hopsnews.beer. That is our website where you can find the links to all of our episodes. You can find the links to all of our articles that we write. Lauren does a lot of really great Disney articles and videos. I have started Matt's weekly pool list where I discuss something that maybe I'm reading that I want to suggest that you read as well. And as well, if you don't want to go to our website, go ahead, search Hops News on all of your podcasting platforms. You can also catch us Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern live on Hops News, where we discuss straight up beer news, and Lauren puts together an amazing beer school typically. So all that aside, let's get rolling. Lauren, what are you drinking on this portion of the episode?
I'm drinking a beer you sent me all the way from Texas. It is called Haze Wizard. It is a New England style IPA. And I mean, we start before we dive into Jane and Gorr, we wrap up a little bit of Doctor Strange. So why are you embarrassing me in front of the wizard? Or wizards?
Dude, you're embarrassing me in front of the wizard.
Yeah. So this is from Three Nations Brewing. From the boiling cauldron, Haze Wizard casts a spell over the abundant hops found in this New England IPA. Irresistible, this hazy concoction is no illusion. The intense and legendary aromatics create an enchanted brew with magic all its own. So it's from Carrollton, Texas. And I love when it's a good beer in a 12-ouncer. It's so underappreciated these days.
You know, I actually cooked with that beer a couple weeks ago. I cooked up some brine from Hot Barons and I smoked a chicken. However, I of course tasted it before I went ahead and started just pouring the beer into the pot. And it is really good. You're absolutely correct. Most beers these days are 16 ounces, right? So finding a beer that is really good in a 12-ounce can, because not all the time are you wanting to drink a full 16 ounces. We're just not. And so that beer that's delicious, I picked that actually up in San Antonio when I was there, and I picked it up at a Total Wine, and it was really good.
Yeah, no, it's a solid beer. And it says artwork by Joe Skills at Joe Skills, SKILZ 52. And it's some sweet artwork because the wizard is holding a little cane, or what would you call that? Staff. It's got a hop on the top of the staff. Kind of makes me think of Will from Stranger Things when he dressed up like a wizard.
Ooh, that's right. You're a wizard, Harry.
Which, by the time this releases, season 4 will be over. We will know.
That is true. So season 4 is out in its entirety at this point. So I'm excited to see where it all leads to. I'm prepared for heartbreak. I really am. And that said, I am drinking a 12-ounce beer myself from a Hops News guest called Silver Branch Brewing Company. It is called Cloud 9. It is a Hefeweizen, which a traditional German Hefeweizen yeast gives our Hefeweizen complex flavors of banana and clove while finishing crisp and satisfying. Pour one today to help your own personal Cloud 9. So it is from Montgomery County, Maryland, is where they're at. And we were talking in the Hops News show about how I like bananas because we got on the subject of the Minions somehow. And I don't know that I smell. Actually,
well, bananas and clove is, that's common in
I do,
Hefeweizen.
actually. It smells, it's
subtle.
funny enough. It smells like a banana runt, where we talked about also earlier. That's exactly what this smells like.
That's the thing that's kind of fun. It's like sometimes I feel like I'm definitely not the best at picking out the smells or the tastes. But when somebody tells you and then you can pick it out, it's like, oh,
it all
I
kind
get
of
it
collects.
now.
Yeah.
Right.
Does.
But it's like, you feel like a poser, but like I need somebody to tell me what to taste or
Well, sometimes you need somebody to point out those things. I mean, on the back end of this, I really taste a lot of banana, and banana is one of my favorite flavors. I, however, am not looking forward to seeing the Minions this weekend, so stay tuned next week where I talk about how I have to sit through the Minions. But
you're braver than I am.
The things you do for your children. Am I right?
Well, my 5-year-old's never seen the inside of a movie theater again, or at least for 5 years after I took him to see Lightyear. So
my kids actually sat through Lightyear and didn't move a muscle. It was pretty impressive.
So my oldest, who, you know, is now grown, when she was 2, I took her to see Cars. Cars was in the theater. That's like a 2-hour movie. She did not fucking move.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Logan could not stop moving or talking the entire movie of Lightyear, typically. The entirety. And we were in the recliner seats. He had his own recliner. He's on top of me. He's next to me. He's curled up with his best friend who we went with. Like, yeah, it was a nightmare. We were the only ones in the theater other than the one other group of 3 people who sat right next to us. So if my son annoyed you the whole time,
theater, they would sit there right next to you, right?
Yes,
you can move anywhere in this theater. They would sit. I've had that happen. There's a couple times where I've gone to a movie and it's like, wow, I've got this whole theater to myself. Because sometimes you're like, wow, I paid $10 for a matinee to rent out the whole theater essentially. And then that one person shows up and they literally sit in their assigned seat and it happens to be directly next to you. And it's like, when I chose the seat, there was nobody sitting remotely near me.
Right. You can see the seats that are picked.
Exactly. When you're picking seats, you can see. And now it's like, you're literally choosing the seat that's next to me. What is wrong with you psychopath?
When she sat there, I leaned over to my friend Erica, who we were both there with our kids. And I said, I imagine this is how a dude feels when somebody parks right next to him at a urinal when there was multiple urinals.
100%. Without a doubt. It's actually funny you mention this because when we were at Lightyear, there was this guy who came by himself and he sat like 3 seats. There was like us, a whole like 7 seats, and then there was somebody else in their family sitting there. But so this dude came by himself and he sat there like 3 seats away from us. But it was weird because anytime there was a funny moment, he would look to us and laugh like he was watching this movie with us.
Oh, see, I almost kind of feel bad because I mean, the first movie came out in 1995. So maybe it's like this guy isn't married with kids. I'm assuming I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. He could be a total creeper.
Yeah.
But he's probably like, I want to bond with other Buzz Lightyear fans.
Like, dude, I am straight up. I'm cool if you went by yourself. I go to movies alone. I love going to movies alone.
I've never done that. I should do that one day. It sounds lovely. It is
my favorite thing on earth to do is go to a movie by myself, which I'm going to talk about what I just read or watched.
All right,
but,
we're tangenting off already.
Hold on, real quick though. I'm not going to sit there and like look over at a family of 4 with 2 small kids laughing along with them. Okay, like come on.
That's fair.
All right. Anyways, do you have anything that you or I have messed up on and that you happen to look into because I didn't?
So I know last week we were a little off because I wasn't here and then we had a bonus episode and whatnot. So the last time we actually talked together on a legit episode, we talked about Betty Ross. Where is Betty Ross? So I tried to look into this, but there's not much information. So in the comics, she is at one point read She-Hulk, and we may need to do a comic book origin on her before She-Hulk, like a little, whatever tidbit before we go into full She-Hulk.
Oh, we're going to.
Well, Universal only owns the standalone movie rights to Hulk, not TV or other movies where he isn't standalone. I found nothing in specifics as to Betty Ross. So this is why we haven't had another standalone Hulk, but we get Hulk and everything else.
Interesting.
So why we haven't seen her in the MCU movies since 2008 does not appear to be for contractual reasons that I know of. That being said, the Russo brothers have confirmed that Betty Ross was one of many unseen victims of Thanos' snap. And we did see her in What If. She was not voiced by Liv Tyler, but there are also rumors she will be in She-Hulk.
Interesting. I've heard a couple other rumors, such as Jason Segel appearing as the Thing in She-Hulk. I've heard that rumor.
Jason Segel?
Yeah.
Like the action star from the 90s?
No, that's Jason Segel, you fool. And he's like a Russian plant or something. I'm talking about Jason Segel. who
Oh,
is
that would be fun. Who was in my friend's movie a couple months ago.
which I'm still waiting for him to come on. Anyways, there are people on my last deployment who are like, you know who to remind me of is this guy. That's exactly how you look. And so I've always had like an affinity for this guy. But
Jason Segel and Jason Segel. How did I mix those two?
Jason Segel, sorry, I guess I messed up his name. Apparently he's rumored to be playing the Thing in the last couple of episodes of She-Hulk. So
the Thing, like from Fantastic Four?
No, like the Thing, like a monster, like the Marvel, the Thing. Ah.
Oh, I'm thinking Thing.
No, we're not talking about the Rock Thing from Fantastic Four. No, could you imagine him saying it's clobbering time? He's over here like
I actually could picture him saying that. I 100% could.
I'm just picturing the scene from It's Forgetting Sarah Marshall where he's naked and slapping his penis everywhere.
God.
Like, it's clobbering time.
Yeah. Yep. Don't act like all you dudes haven't done that.
It happens. Look, you could be running. Anyways.
Mm-hmm.
What have we read or watched? Speaking of what we've been watching, Jason Segel, I've actually watched this movie last weekend. It is one of my all-time favorite comedies. So I have recently watched it. It's leaving Netflix tonight, actually. After tonight, it's off of Netflix, which is pretty sad, in my opinion, because it's a fantastic movie. To the time you guys watch this. Yeah. So June 30th, it leaves Netflix. Surprise, it's already gone.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Speaking of going to the movies alone, last week I went and I saw The Black Phone starring Ethan Hawke, which takes place in the 70s. And Ethan Hawke is the grabber. He is a person who kidnaps children to kill them. And let me tell you,
good Lord,
this movie was very good. This movie was very stressful. It has been a long time since a thriller movie like this has made me feel legit stressed out. Maybe it's because I'm a parent now, and that might be what it is. And there were certain aspects of the movie where I'm just like, I sat there, I texted Sean and I was like, bro, this movie has me so stressed out right now. Because he also wants to see it. And we talk a lot of movies and things. And I was like, dude, this movie just has me so stressed out. He's like, wait, really? I was like, I don't know what it is. I'm sitting there and I am stressed, but it is fantastic. The children who act in this movie are so freaking good. The sister is probably the star of the show. If you've seen the trailers, she has dreams and things. Her brother's the one who gets kidnapped. Ethan Hawke is called the grabber. And so it does a very good job of detailing the 70s, which during the 70s, there was a lot of kidnappings going on. I mean, that was all the rage, I guess. But
it was much easier back then.
Well, yeah, agreed. And so he's like, they don't really dive into his backstory too much, but he clearly has some issues and things like that. However, the climax of the movie and the ending was very satisfying. It was very good. And I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I had been waiting for this film to come out. It was supposed to come out in January. It didn't. And now it finally came out. And I have the Regal Pass. So I pay $18 a month and I can see unlimited films. And so it was worth every penny that I would have spent on this movie. It was really good. I'd honestly probably give it about an 8.5 out of 10, personally speaking.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
And does that pass include Marvel movies?
It does. So I'm going to see Thor in IMAX. And so all I had to do was pay the upcharge. So the $18 a month covers the standard theater. But if you're going to go see it in 4DX, ScreenX, or IMAX, you got to pay the upcharge. So I paid $5 for my ticket to go see Thor in IMAX. So the year Black Panther came out, we did it. But when I realized I couldn't see any of the Marvel movies opening day, no, this includes all movies. Like, it is super worth it. The only thing I'm not going to get is the Thor Mjolnir popcorn tin because it's only AMC. And I'm very broken up about this.
I can't do the popcorn tins. It gets out of control.
No, if somebody can get me that damn popcorn tin, I will pay you, like, dead ass. I want that popcorn tin in the worst way. I can't describe to you. I have the last one I got was The Last Jedi. And so I want this popcorn tin. It's his hammer. I need this popcorn tin.
The only one I have is Guardians too.
I need this.
That was probably because I was pregnant and I needed the whole bucket of popcorn.
Well, the cool thing is, anyways, it's you can see movies the day they open, anytime. There's no restrictions. You just got to pay the upcharge. And so that's what I do. And it's paid for itself because every other Friday I have off, I'm typically going to a movie, especially now in the summer where there's a lot of movies coming out right now. I still want to see Elvis. Haven't seen that yet, but I paid for myself to go see the Minions this weekend, so I don't have to pay money to see that trash. But yeah, so I've watched that. Only Murders in the Building has come out. So the first 2 episodes has dropped. Very good. It has done a really good job of capturing the heart and essence of the first season. There are a couple of things that I'm like, number one, Amy Schumer's in this season, and I hate Amy Schumer. She is awful.
I don't hate her. She's not my favorite, but I don't hate her.
She's not good in this.
Is she a main character? I haven't started it yet. I honestly forgot it was back.
She's not a main character yet. She has a little bit of screen time. I'll leave it at that without spoiling. She's not good though. She's very obnoxious. And my wife, who usually tells me I'm just being overreactive, has agreed with me. And then there's another sequence with Selena Gomez that doesn't I don't care that it happens. It just, there's no chemistry there. So it felt very awkward and wooden. And a lot of people have agreed with me. And so I'm interested to see your thoughts there. So again, I don't care. It just felt very much like, okay, weird. There was no setup, nothing here that really gave us this indication. So
gotcha.
Aside from that though, of course I'm watching Miss Marvel, The Boys, and Obi-Wan. That said, Herogasm was very much bait and switch.
Yeah, it was very calm.
I'm okay with that because The Boys right now is like the best comic book TV show out there.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going to go. At this point, episode 7's out. Oh my God. That means next week's the finale.
Don't make me cry.
Oh my God. Anyways.
They better not kill Soldier Boy. I hope to God. I doubt they will.
No, he's not going to die, but Annie January is no longer a part of the 7.
Back. Peace out, Annie January. I don't like her this season.
She has no plan. Can we agree that she has no plan?
She has no plan. Her face just doesn't look like her anymore. She's just not seeing the bigger picture and she's just too caught up. And granted, I get she lost Drummer Boy and that sucks and that's hard. And she thought she was so in control and she quickly learned she wasn't, but she's still trying to control. I feel like her thing is she's trying to control Huey, and Huey,
yes.
He was always the nice guy and he was okay that his girlfriend was stronger than him and he was okay with all that. But of course it started to wane on him, and that's a whole toxic masculinity. But honestly, in any relationship, whether you're the girl or the guy, you don't constantly want the other person rescuing you. And she's never been understanding. And yes, he did lie to her in season 1. And you got to get over that shit. But I used to really like her. I don't like her this season. I don't know what it is. Well, I don't like her this season.
She makes no sense. First and foremost, Homelander has taken full control and he's losing his mind, right?
Oh, he's 100% losing his shit. Oh my God. And the look he had on his face when he thought they had him or whatever, it was sheer shock.
Oh yeah. We'll get to that fight sequence in a second, but Huey has always been picked. The start of the series was his girlfriend getting blown to bits by A-Train, and he's never had superpowers. And so he's always been at the mercy of these soups. And so now he finally has a bit of this power, and she's not willing to see it from his angle at all. He's always the one who needs saving, and he's always been the victim.
And part of it could be because Homelander said, get in line or this will be Huey after.
Exactly.
We need to give The Boys spoiler. I'm sorry to anybody who hasn't seen it. But okay, so I'm going to do a couple The Boys. So in the one episode where you see them the Russians are working on Soldier Boy, and it says January 24th. They say January 24th. That's Dean Winchester's birthday.
Oh my God.
And then you see Soldier Boy stare at a poster of Bobby Singer, who's running for political office. Bobby Singer was his dad in Supernatural. Same actor, same name. But yeah, he's got depth since the last time we saw him. And similar to Homelander, they were both told they were never loved. Because think about the flashbacks with Soldier Boy where he's like a douchebag. He's a misogynist. And now he's just like, he's been told, oh, I never loved you by the person he loved. And so is Homelander. So it's really interesting.
It's true. It's funny that whenever Soldier Boy is mentioned to come back and Black Noir just like dips and Homelander has nobody either, but A-Train, I mean, at the end of this episode, A-Train was dead. And I don't know. There's just a lot. I think at the end of The Boys, we're going to have to
Is he dead, though? We don't have confirmation.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
so at the end of The Boys,
we
really have to just recap the entire season because there's just we could talk for an entire episode on that. So
I will talk a whole episode on that, a whole episode on the comics, and then a whole episode comparing the two.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about it. We'll talk about it. We'll save it. I'm going to shelve that. Obi-Wan has finished up. It's given me one of my favorite moments in Star Wars, which is the whole Anakin. I killed Anakin Skywalker. I wasn't your greatest failure. So I've watched Obi-Wan clearly. So what have you been reading or watching? So we can get to news, so we can get to the really good parts of this episode. Otherwise, we're going to talk for hours on end.
I got to say, this was the first Star Wars thing ever that I legit had a tear run down my face.
Oh, I'm so proud of you.
I did start Brotherhood. I actually started Brotherhood while I was at J. Wakefield Brewing. My husband had a work thing and left me at the brewery.
I'm even more proud. I got another book I'm going to send your way when I'm done with it.
I'm only at the beginning, and it's very much so like a love story of Anakin and Padme. And I watched Umbrella Academy. What the actual fuck? I
stopped after season 1. I haven't seen season 2 or started season 3.
Season 2 is so much better than 1. And I will say season 3 is a lot of fun. And then when it ended, they're doing another one. I don't think it's been officially picked up, but it's been, they left it with a lot of questions. I just literally was just like, what the fuck? So yeah, that's what I've been reading and watching.
Interesting. All right. So I think next week, 2 weeks from now, we're going to have to talk about Miss Marvel and The Boys because those are going to be wrapping up. Let's roll into some news. So I've got some news. Anna Sawai, Kiersey Clemens, who plays Iris West in The Flash, Ren Watabe, Joe Tippett, Eliza Lasowski are going to be cast or have been cast in Godzilla's spinoff series for Apple TV, which takes place in between Godzilla #1, which San Francisco, and King of Monsters, which leads me to the next piece of news. Godzilla vs. King Kong sequel has been announced for March 15th, 2024. I am super hyped. Give me Godzilla in anything. Give me Godzilla and King Kong in anything. I was
going to say, why are they doing this? Who wants this movie?
Me. I do. It's me. It's okay, guys, only one thing. It's fucking disgusting. And that is literally Godzilla and King Kong fighting monsters. And that's literally me night 1 in theaters. And so speaking of Kiersey Clemens playing Iris West, DC, aka Warner Brothers, has announced that they still plan to release The Flash in theaters next June, despite Ezra Miller literally being the worst human being on planet Earth right now.
So June 2023?
Yes, The Flash will release in theaters. I kind of felt like they would release it maybe in HBO Max, but no, they're full steam ahead with this. They're going to launch it next June.
People are involved that are going to lose. You can
market this with
money and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, you can market Batman, Supergirl. You don't have to use Ezra Miller, and then they're going to dump him after that, which is the best move anybody can make. So,
you think they'll edit out scenes with him in it and focus more on those characters?
No, how? It's a Flash film, which it sucks because Flash is my favorite superhero.
It was a Doctor Strange film.
I don't know. I'm exasperated. Just release this film and let's just move on at this point. Give me a new Flash so we can give me something to be excited for. I'm excited
about this next piece of shit.
Well, before we get to that, the next piece of news is July 28th is Harley Quinn season 3 releasing on HBO Max. That's exciting. August 21st, House of Dragons on HBO Max. That's some news.
Exciting.
But yes, the next piece of garbage is the 5 $3,000 Star Wars alcoholic cocktail on their Disney Wish cruise.
Made out of the ice cream maker bucket.
First and
I feel like they're
foremost,
trolling us. They're trolling
4
us.
months of mortgage for me. Like that, I could pay my mortgage for 4 months.
That's not uncommon.
But
so here's the thing. So in Brielle was 3. So 2015, December 2015, we did a 7-day cruise on the Disney Fantasy, 2 adults, 2 kids for $4,000. So this one single drink, because this Star Wars drink is available on the Disney Wish in the Star Wars bar on the cruise ship. So that one drink on that boat will be more than our entire week-long Disney Christmas cruise for a family of 4.
Jeez.
That's just stupid. I feel like at this point they're trolling us. They're like, we know some of y'all are still rich as all hell, or you're going to max out your credit cards because you want to be the one that said you had this. And it looks cool. I wouldn't pay more than $50 for that. And that's fucking pushing it.
That's pushing it because it's just watered down Malibu rum.
Right. But it looks like, for anybody who hasn't seen it, it looks like the thing the guy's carrying in one of the original Star Wars movies. It's an actual ice cream maker that's turned into a joke. You push it, the things come open. We saw it in Mandalorian, and like dry ice comes out.
2-ounce shot glasses of whatever's in there.
I mean, are you drinking pieces of actual gold? I don't even know how much. I don't know how much gold is, but it's just stupid. It's stupid.
Disney is without a doubt. They're trolling us right now. Like a weekend at the Galactic Star Cruiser is $5,000 for 2 people. And now
they just made that look reasonable.
Exactly. Now a drink. So 30 seconds to a minute, depending how fast you sip, is $5,000. It's bro, like what?
I think we just figured out what they're doing. They're making the Star Cruiser look reasonable. And now the $80 beer flight made out of Rancor teeth at Oga's Cantina now makes perfect financial sense to me.
Oh my God.
You fucking evil geniuses.
I can't do this anymore. I need a higher pay. Monetize us, please. Somebody give us a lot of money. I don't know. And when I say I would try anything twice, that's not one of those things. I won't even try it once.
$10,000 to try it twice.
One of them once. I can't. I don't know. Anyways, Ghostbusters Afterlife, the sequel, will release December 20th, 2023. It will be set in New York in a firehouse setting from director Jason Reitman. I am super excited because Ghostbusters Afterlife was a delight.
I wish someone had warned me to bring a box of tissues. Gosh, damn it, man.
Right. It was amazing. It was so good. So I'm excited to see what they do with these new characters, like more Paul Rudd in the Ghostbusters universe. Yes.
First more Paul Rudd in every universe.
Speaking of going back to the Disney Wish Cruise, they released footage from some of their stuff, and one scene was Paul Rudd.
Yeah, I'm intentionally avoiding it all. Okay, their new restaurant is themed. Oh, I don't want to see it till I go on it.
Okay, well, I won't talk about this then. Okay, I'll skip it. I won't talk about it. Anyways, The Art of Falcon and Winter Soldier has released. Obi-Wan was originally a sequel trilogy of films, with the plot of the show being the 3 films, which is very interesting. Very, very interesting. And Emma Roberts has been cast in Madam Web, which is probably secretly Morbius, Too Fast, Too Morbius. Taika Waititi has directed a Mandalorian Season 3 episode. The MCU is coming back.
He directed past episodes too.
Yeah, well, he's still working on his trilogy of Star Wars films, so he's directed one to probably get his feet wet. The MCU is coming back to Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con. Moses Ingram and Natalie Portman will be starring in Lady in the Lake for Apple TV. Gina Rodriguez and Zachary Levi have been cast in the Netflix Spy Kids reboot, which my kids are probably going to watch. I don't know why anybody would reboot the Spy Kids, but you know what? Bet you whenever it comes out, you're going to hear me reviewing it. And then last but not least, Back to the Future will release as a Broadway show in 2023.
I need to see that. Right before you read that, said that I read that. Holy shit. I can't wait to see them dance to Back in Time.
It's going to be awesome. Look, I have always wanted to go to a Broadway show and never have. This would probably be one that if I can get to, I would go.
Not even the local one you've never been to?
No, I haven't. I want to go see
Wow.
Wicked. That was like one I'm holding out for. Obviously,
That was what I was thinking in my head. Wicked was the best show I've seen quite a few, and Wicked was better than Lion King. All right, I don't have much at all. Hercules live action will be directed by Guy Ritchie. A Goonies spinoff show is coming to Disney Plus. We got a trailer for Hocus Pocus 2, and I feel like my next piece of news,
September 30th.
Yes. How that it makes me so happy, because last time didn't they release the movie in like July, and then they're like, oh, this movie tanked. You don't release it in July.
Yeah, but it looks legit good too, which is I'm here for.
So our house will be decorated. We will be ready to go.
Same.
Jude Law he's cast for Skeleton Crew, the Star Wars show. Did we know that? We knew that.
We did. Yes.
Okay. That's all I got. Well, dude, Back to the Future on Broadway. That is so fun.
I know. Well, dude. Talk about Hocus Pocus 2. In the trailer that we saw, the teaser trailer, they look just like they did back in, when the first one came out.
I mean, they could suck out the youth of a kid. It might help, but yeah.
Yeah,
they look fantastic for their age, but they do look older.
That's true.
All three of them look amazing, but they do. I mean, you could suck the life out of one kid.
Well, yeah. Well, with that said, let's roll into our pre-show for Thor Love and Thunder, where we are joined by Jamal, aka Hop Circles on Instagram, and Nick, aka the Oklahomie. You can find his podcast everywhere by searching Oklahomie Podcast. We will see you in 2 seconds.
You are not like the other gods of kill.
There's a maniac who seeks to end us all. We must do something. Times like this, we need to come together. This is my vow. All gods will die. This ends here and now!
Welcome back, everybody. As I had mentioned, we are going to be talking kind of the Thor Love and Thunder pre-show, and we have a couple really great guests to kick this off because, look, to be honest with you, this has been one of the more hyped MCU films, and we couldn't do it by ourselves, so we had to bring a couple guests. But first things first, on my end, this portion of the podcast is brought to you by J. Wakefield Brewing out of Miami, Florida, and this is their Master Blaster, which is an Imperial Porter with Filipino coconut, Mostra coffee, and Tahitian vanilla, and it is coming in at 10%. And who runs Bartertown? I cannot talk today. Master Blaster runs Bartertown. Master imposes his will on your taste buds through the use of Tahitian vanilla beans, Mostra coffee, and Filipino coconut, while Blaster shows his strength with a 10% Imperial Porter. We hope you enjoy this marriage of brains and brawn as you spend your time trying to survive the streets of Bartertown. I feel like this was a good beer because we have Lady Jane coming into the fold. We have Valkyrie. We have Korg. We have Thor. We have the Guardians. There's a lot going on. So you got to hit with the heavy hitters. So that said, Lauren, what are you drinking over there?
So I am actually drinking a Treehouse. So you are drinking a beer from where am from, and I am drinking a beer from where you are from.
Yes, you are.
So,
Treehouse.
Yes, Treehouse is in Massachusetts. Erica brought me this one back from one of her recent
Massachusetts?
trips. I was like, wait, what? Yes, for anybody who this is their first time listening, Matt is from Massachusetts. So it doesn't give any much information on the can, and I didn't look it up, but it's a double IPA. It is delicious, and it's 8.8%. And for you guys can see my can, it's a very beautiful rainbow. Today is the last day of Pride Month, and it's the Rainbow Bridge.
Wait a second. You said Erica brought that back?
Erica did bring this back.
Erica went to my stomping grounds And she just totally forgot about our friendship. That is disrespectful. That is
And
unbelievable.
she only bought this can because it's pretty. She doesn't even like IPAs.
That's crazy. I'm gonna have to have a talk with Erica. Well, we're gonna have to chat about that, but that's crazy.
And I have it in my I don't drink tea glass because one of my questions I'm wondering is, does Jane drink tea?
Probably not. I don't know. Jane looks like she's pounding stouts at this point in time. The way she's flying in, which we're gonna talk about that. So we do have a couple of guests joining us tonight. So first things first, we have Jamal joining us. So Jamal, go ahead, introduce yourself, man. Tell us a little bit about what you're sipping on, if anything, and then how you doing?
All right. Well, I'm Jamal. On Instagram, go by the Hop Circles. So I'm very big into the craft beer scene. Right now, I am sipping a beer collab between a home brewer and a brewery called Vedena Brewer in California. It's a dry hop saison, name perfectly balanced, themed after Thanos.
Yeah, that can has Thanos' helmet on it too. Is pretty dope. You're showing
and it's 6%. So hey. 6 stones.
Nice.
All right, I see what they're doing there.
Now, is it perfectly balanced like all beers should be?
Exactly. You know, I'm excited to see it because no one makes saisons anymore. So,
yeah, that is true. Now, you also didn't you just brew or help assist in brewing of a beer that Lauren conveniently just didn't send this way to? Like, I feel a lot of betrayal going on right now.
Drank in front of him too.
She even drank it in front of me.
So a friend of mine, Casey Geeks and Bear. We did a small little collaboration with Rock Pit Brewing here in Orlando for Star Wars Day, May 4th. And it was something we were thinking about for a while. We think not too many breweries in Orlando take advantage of May 4th.
They
we're all
really don't.
geeks and nerds. So
no breweries in Boise do, which is weird. But
so we brought up the idea and we talked about it and kind of came up with like a last minute recipe for it. It was a peanut butter whiskey blonde stout.
Man, that's
yeah.
It worked. It really
sounds good. Peanut butter whiskey is delicious in its own right. So
yeah. So we actually soaked the oak chips in Screwball.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Screwball.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
See that's wicked rad. I love that. I love Chapin beer and I know our paths crossed briefly, although we didn't formally get to meet when I was in Orlando last year. So it is good to have you on and good to chat some Thor. And I'm glad this worked out. We also have another really good guest. You guys might know this man as your friendly neighborhood Oklahomie. Nick, welcome to the show. Tell us where people can find you, what you're all about, and what you might be sipping on over there.
First and foremost, I'm happy to finally get this actually going. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. I actually went out last week to get beers because I know we were supposed to do this last week, but things kind of changed and all that. But I, on quote unquote accident, drank one of the beers that last weekend because I just couldn't stop myself. But one of the ones I'm having right now and haven't poured yet, but is from Skydance.
Okay.
Brewery here in Oklahoma. It's a local brewery here in Oklahoma City. It's a hazy double IPA with two of these things I've never seen in beer before, so I'm actually even more excited. And it kind of almost ties in with Thor, but one of the ingredients is Waiatiti, Raiwaka, and Mosaic.
They got really extravagant with those. I mean,
it sounds like was it
Taika Waititi?
Yeah, that's what I was
making the
thinking,
name of the
Taika
hops.
And I do have another beer that I'm gonna drink later, and I might regret with it being summer. But I got this last month when I was down in Texas. I stopped in Sherman at 903 Breweries, and I picked up. And I don't know if anyone on here listens or watches The Office, but it's a 903 Pretzel Day beer. I don't know, the light is all in the way, but it has a picture of Michael Scott on the can.
Oh, that's so cool.
Nice.
You said
and I've had this cold and I've had it at room temperature, and it's way better at room temperature.
So more flavorful at room temperature, I'm guessing.
And also for what I'll be drinking out of is my Prairie Ale Mandalorian glass, which is another brewery here in Oklahoma City.
Oh yeah, Prairie's very well known.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is
They make
that's
a
really
lot of sours.
Yes, you can the Prairie Artisan Ales, all that good stuff. You can find them at almost any bottle shop, and if you're able to get your hands on any of their beers, they don't miss. Really, I've had a ton of their beers. Some of their bottles, yeah, you might be. Oh God, I'm shelling out a little bit for some of them, but they're worth it.
Ooh,
and
that is
color
a
on that
beautiful
beer
head
looks
right
really
there.
good. That's a nice pour. So we've got the squad together here. We're going to talk about Thor, Love and Thunder. We're going to talk about Gorr. We're going to talk about Lady Jane, kind of some fun facts, comic book origins, and some theories that we have. So Lauren, why don't we kick it off kind of briefly talking about Multiverse of Madness, which has just recently come out as of June 22nd on Disney Plus. Go ahead, lead us off.
Yes, so spoiler warning for all of it. It's been out. If you haven't seen it now, you probably have. So my big issue that I never felt like I really got to discuss with anybody after Multiverse of Madness is the whole Inhumans thing. Inhumans was terrible. I never even finished the show. I got through probably 3 or 4 episodes. I really gave it my all. It was absolute garbage. And then the MCU goes and tries to act like, oh, we're going to pretend Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't count and Runaways doesn't count and Cloak and Dagger doesn't count. All these things that we got all these different subscriptions for to watch all these damn shows because they were all connected to the MCU. And they are like, oh, nope, they don't really count. And then they go and cast the actual same actor to play Black Bolt to bring him in and then kill him. I don't know what any of this means, and it enrages me. They gave us so many amazing Easter eggs to the point, and I know I already told Jamal this too. I went and saw the movie with my 9-year-old, and during this scene, before Wanda started killing people left and right, she's like, "Are you okay? Are you crying?" Because I was losing my ever-loving shit. And then they just kill everybody, and for 5 seconds of hope, I really thought Xavier was going to save the day. In his, X-Men cartoon music, Xavier, the Xavier we've known and loved, the Xavier we've seen die multiple times, and it broke our heart every single time he died.
Getting killed left and right.
But what does any of it mean? So is Inhumans the god-awful show we watched? Does it exist? Is it in the 616? Or is the one that we saw die, was that show in that universe? Is that where Coulson is? Well, it's an AI Coulson now. He's not even a real Coulson.
That's true. Well, according to Kevin Feige, they only gave us Reed Richards with John Krasinski because the fans were calling for it. So
that was really mean.
Does that mean he's not going to be our 616? I don't know. What do you guys? Jamal and I'm very curious. What do you guys think? Is Inhumans canon? Is it just kind of left in the air? Where are we at these days?
I know a lot of people got issues with those specific scenes. For me, I think they were fine. It was just a teaser.
Yeah.
It's what we needed to know that this is what's coming. And I think the way they did it pissed people off. Again, spoiler warning. Reed Richards, you literally just told Wanda how to kill Black Bolt.
Oh my God.
Right.
And everyone sees it and we're like, oh shit, Black Bolt's about to just end it all again. And she's like, what mouth? And it's like, really? You're gonna do that?
It was,
and then he dies
too.
And then Captain Britain dies, and then Captain Marvel dies, and then Charles dies. I mean, all it tells me is that there's hope for these characters we've been hoping for. We know they exist. We just don't know how they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And what form of fashion. At least with the Fantastic Four, we do know that they will be from the 60s in the quantum realm.
Have they started working on that, though? Because, they announced the Inhumans movie 10 years ago, too, and we never got that. But if they brought them in to tease us of future things to come, I'm okay with that. But if they brought them in to straight up murder them. Like, and these aren't just like people, like these are fan freaking favorites. And I saw one meme with Monica Rambeau and Wanda in WandaVision, and she's like, I'm going to kill your mom in another universe. It's like this. And I would love to see a Captain, you know, I love Peggy Carter. I loved the Peggy Carter TV show. I will do anything for more Peggy Carter. And I wonder if we're going to get some Maria Rambeau flashbacks in the Marvels movie. So I don't think that she's, I mean, obviously we know she's dead in 616 because she died of cancer during the blip. But I don't think she's gone. But like the Black Bolt one, that didn't make me excited. It made me confused. Krasinski made me excited. Captain Carter made me excited. And Maria Rambeau made me excited. Black Bolt.
Yeah. She's got
That
beef.
show was so bad. Did anybody finish that show?
No.
I only read it on forums. I never dove into it, and I've been told that I saved myself from not getting into the show.
Good for you.
Yeah. That was my next question. So, well, first of all, my man's Oklahomie. What do you think? Is Inhumans going to make a big grand comeback? Is the Miss Marvel going to perhaps try and bring Inhumans back in and make them cool again?
So that's what I think is actually going to, as the more I watch Miss Marvel as it unfolds, which, by the way, everyone that knocked that show, I hope to God that you're eating crow right now, because that show is phenomenal. It's been good since episode 1. It's only progressively getting better. But they've done a lot of like hints toward that the Inhumans are coming, but I just don't know when they're going to introduce them, because a lot of people were pissed off when how she got her powers when the trailer debuted, and then as we're watching the show unfold, you're starting to see more and more nods toward how the Inhumans are. Yeah. And I feel like toward the end, we're going to get some kind of big reveal that Inhumans have been here the whole time. And I feel like it's going to be like a reboot in a way. And like Lauren said, because you said it was about 10 years ago they were supposed to do an Inhumans movie?
Yeah, it was one of the movies they announced one time at Comic-Con, and that never happened.
Yeah, it never got off the ground. So I feel like maybe they took a step back and wanted to kind of toy with everything else and kind of pave a better path to introduce them. Because just like how we're going to get like a different Reed Richards and I lost my train of thought for the 616 universe, because 838's got completely annihilated as quick as they did. I feel like since it was a fan casting for John Krasinski, that maybe they have a better Reed Richards for the 616 universe, which kind of makes me more excited, but at the same time nervous, because I don't know who they're going to cast to be in that role. And I know that doesn't necessarily tie into Inhumans. I kind of got off on a different tangent there.
Yeah, that's what podcasts are for.
Exactly.
Well, you know, with the whole Inhumans thing too, I think part of what bothers me with it too is I love Daisy in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She was such a great character from the first episode to the last. I loved her story arc. I loved her history. And I feel like she deserves to be in the MCU. And I don't know if it was she or Simu Liu that posted something recently. My daughter sent it to me. And it said the first Asian American in an MCU movie, and Simu Liu. Or part of the MCU, not a movie, part of the MCU, and Simu Liu. Because, yes, she should be part of the MCU. And she's so amazing. And anybody who didn't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like if she entered the movie universe, they would love her. And she was the person I thought of when, well, that in like the Netflix shows, when Wong is like, you wanted more? Yeah, I did. I wanted all the other, things that you made me watch.
You know, there was a rumor that they were actually going to do that.
Really?
Right, I heard that too. And then they're like, well, not everybody will know. But this is where it pays off for the people who watched everything that you told us to watch.
That's true. It's true.
This whole thing is going to be wild. That we're entering and all that.
It is. So it's like, I almost feel like the Black Bolt to me was kind of like all right, let's gauge the fan reaction. How are they feeling about the Inhumans at this point? Like, are they trying to make us think that Inhumans is like that revisionist theory that, oh, maybe the show wasn't that bad? No, it's that bad. But you can still like bring them back in and kind of still bring the Inhumans into the MCU and do it proper this time. And so I wonder if that was almost them, like you said, with Reed Richards and crew and Maria and Peggy Carter kind of being like, all right, let's see the reactions. Do people want more of this? This is kind of their first introduction to the X-Men into the MCU as well with Charles Xavier.
Yeah.
And
First
so
mutant.
it is very interesting to see. I don't know where Kamala's powers are going to come from, but I'm willing to bet that within the next 7 years, we are going to see an Inhumans announcement that they are coming back into the MCU in some regards.
Well, even when they mentioned Black Bolt, they said the protector of the Terrigen Mist. Yeah. So like that was mentioned.
Yeah, you don't just open that up and then just like leave it blank. Like you have to do some kind of follow up on that.
Exactly.
Because that's what my worry is that we got introduced in the Multiverse of Madness to the other multiverse of 838, which was the main focus point of the different multiverses in Multiverse of Madness. And everything that happened on 838, is there going to be a follow-up later down the road with 838? Or
like
is
with
it
Sue
going to be one of those plot holes like there was so much havoc that happened in 838 that we're just not going to mention it. And I hope that they don't do that. I hope that there's some kind of a follow-up afterwards.
Well,
I agree. Well, and can we talk about the Darkhold too? Because we've seen the Darkhold in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Runaways. It came up in both of those, but obviously when people were like trying to figure out what the book was in WandaVision, I was like, it can't be the Darkhold because the Darkhold looks like this. And then they're like, oh, it's the Darkhold. So yeah, do you think they're then going to integrate, like, I feel like at this point, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cannot be in 616. There was no snap, but they also did time travel in Agents, and they went all over the place. But how they ended it, you can also, like, it wasn't a closed book. I know, Matt, you didn't finish it. Did you two finish Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Did you watch all of that?
I finished it.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I'm like only a couple episodes into season 1, and I'm dragging.
That's where
you have to stick around until Winter Soldier. I was ready to give up too, but you have to stick out. It will pay off, but it'll have its ups and downs. But it's more ups than downs.
Season 4 was the best season.
You just have to kind of like stick, ride it out, like because just like every other show that comes out, like there's going to be those episodes that kind of drag, and you're just like, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
And it turns out to be gold, like by the time you finish it. And so that's what I've been told about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I feel like I owe that to myself to kind of gives more of a backstory to when these movies come out, because there's like nods toward certain things that if you haven't watched it, then you're not going to necessarily fully understand like what it could mean or what it does mean.
Right. Yeah. And Jamal, you said season 3 was the best season?
Yeah, season 4 was the best season.
Season 4.
I think them introducing Ghost Rider and not doing the traditional Ghost Rider and bringing in Robbie Reyes was really good. Throughout that whole season, he played an intricate part. Seeing Mac become the Ghost Rider for a second actually made me think we were going to get a actual Ghost Rider in the MCU. Yeah. But they just played with our hearts. But it's rumored, too, that he's supposed to come back. I don't know if they're going to do it. I don't know if they're going to do the Johnny Blaze thing. But I would love if Robbie Reyes came back to play Ghost Rider. The same actor, too. Like, he's phenomenal. I love what he does.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got casting going for Ghost Rider right now, too.
Well, I know they're teasing somebody right now that has joined the MCU or something of that nature. So
I heard Norman Reedus was in for fan casting, they got Norman Reedus in the running thing.
Just keep him on a motorcycle, whatever he said.
Can't leave the motorcycle.
But Mac was another fan favorite. He's not a soup.
Right.
I'm in that mentality right now. He has no powers or anything, but he was such an amazing person. I'd love to see him like head of S.H.I.E.L.D. somewhere. But damn it, I lost my train of thought.
Well,
but yeah, we focused a lot on the Inhumans in there, and I had a really good thing I wanted to say, and I totally forgot.
Go ahead, Matt. Remember it. So let's roll into now Thor Love and Thunder, which is the next big MCU film that's releasing when this comes out this week. I've got tickets for opening night Thursday. We say opening night, but like the first showings at 3:30 p.m. on Thursday. So movies are so weird now that they say they're releasing one day, but really they release midday the day before and long gone.
Releases anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Long Gone or the midnight releasing. I think the last midnight viewing I actually went to was Endgame. But even then, there were showings, I think, earlier. So whatever that means to you, the next one is Thor Love and Thunder. And we've all got high hopes. I know that. I've got high hopes. I know today a lot of press screenings happened last night and people are coming out saying that is their favorite Thor film. So we're going to see Thor. There's like in the trailer, there's a montage of Thor working out. It's got the Guardians. We've got Mighty Jane Foster. We've got Valkyrie. We've got Korg. We've got Gorr, the God Butcher, played by Christian freaking Bale. So we got a lot to be hyped about. And before we kind of get into our theories and things, Lauren, why don't you give us some behind the scenes kind of comic book origins of Jane?
Okay, real quick, I do have a couple tidbits on Thor, and then we'll go right into Jane. I'm sorry, not Thor. Doctor Strange.
Strongest Avenger.
Doctor Strange, real quick. A lot of people commented on the Eye of Agamotto. It's still powerful by itself, even without the time stone, because they commented he was wearing it. There was comments that Strange lost his sister. That does happen in the comics as well. Dr. West was the guy. I had like a brain fart in the movie. Like, why is this guy sitting next to him being obnoxious? It's the doctor that was not that great in the first movie. Shuma Gorath, who is a Doctor Strange villain. That's the name of the octopus. He is not named because the MCU does not own the name. So the Heroic Signature owns it, who I don't remember who that is. They own some toy or something. Bruce Campbell hitting himself at the very end that we all waited to the end for. That is actually a nod to Evil Dead 2, where he lost control of his hand. And this is also another Sam Raimi movie, and the two of them are very close friends. He's in all of
Sam Raimi's films. It's awesome.
Yeah. The Third Eye and Charlize Theron. So Clea is the niece of Dormammu in the comics. She's an alien and has been the Sorcerer Supreme before, and she's been married to Doctor Strange before. So I think that'll be a lot of fun seeing the two of them together. And Strange does have a third eye in the comics as well. So now on to Mighty Jane.
In the comics too.
Yeah, they do. They do. So I'm interested to see if that, now we've kind of closed the book on Christine's story. Are we going to see some of that potentially in the next going forward?
Well, that kind of scares me if that's what they're going to go into, because if they go comic accurate wise, that means that Stephen Strange will have he has a deadline at some point, because when he dies, she takes over the mantle of his name and becomes the Sorceress Supreme and all that. So we'll see if that's what they're going to go with, which I wouldn't be against, but again, at the same time, we only got kind of a short scene with Clea, so I need to see Charlize Theron act as Clea before I fully commit into her staying.
That, and I feel like we've barely spent any time with Doctor Strange. I mean, look at Infinity War and Endgame. He doesn't really do much, right? And so
he just goes.
He's had his one solo movie, and then two solo movies, but one that was really about him. Whereas this one, brings in America Chavez. It's got Wanda. And now we're setting up more things. And then Endgame, he's just kind of appears at the end and he's stopping the water. And then Infinity War, he's looking at all the different futures. So I'm with you. And I wonder, everybody's probably got an expiration date. Who knows how long the MCU is going to go along for, right? And it's Benedict Cumberbatch. He's a pretty well-renowned actor. I am hoping maybe we have him for a good period of time, but who knows?
Yeah, you never know. So I remembered what I was going to say before. Bobby from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is Mockingbird, and we learned that that's Hawkeye's wife. So that's another reason for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. not being in 616.
That's right.
So
good call.
And they were supposed to get a spinoff that never happened. Okay, Mighty Jane Foster Thor. So Jane Foster was first created in 1962 by Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Larry Lieber. Then and now she is a love interest for Thor / Dr. Donald Blake. Anybody not familiar with the comics at all, Dr. Donald Blake was his human form. If he wasn't holding Mjolnir, he would turn into Dr. Donald Blake, and then he had to be not holding it for 60 seconds or something, so he had to be actually holding the Mjolnir to have the power of Thor. Eventually, she married a dude named Keith, and they had a kid. Sadly, they split because of Thor, and then Keith and her son passed away in an accident, and Jane was diagnosed with terminal breast cancer. So jump to 2015, and the Mighty Thor comic is released. Thor is currently not worthy, like Thor Odin's son, and the Mjolnir is left on the moon and Jane picks it up. No one knew who it was at first. So this new Thor is a badass, and she even fights Malekith, the Ninth Doctor, who's in Dark World. Unfortunately, every time she fights as Thor, her cancer gets worse because her treatments basically get canceled out. While being Thor, she actually teams up and dates Sam Wilson, Captain America, and she teams up with Kamala Harris. I keep doing that. Kamala Khan.
That's the vice president.
I know. Miss Marvel in the Avengers. She then comes clean when Doctor Strange tells her she can't handle another transformation. However, in Death of Mighty Thor, Jane decides to take up the hammer one last time when Mangog threatens Asgard. Jane does defeat Mangog, but Mjolnir is destroyed in the process, which we saw Hela do, and Jane does die, and she returns to her human form, but Odin actually brings her back, and she becomes the new Valkyrie. And that's actually kind of interesting because I was reading one of the old comics the other day where Thor asks Odin to make Jane immortal because he wants to be with her. And obviously his life comparison, he'd be married to an old lady in no time. And, he's fighting with Odin about that. So that's kind of a nice nod to the older comics. I did read some of the newer books, and it was kind of funny because when she picks up the Mjolnir, she starts talking like him, but she still has like an inner dialogue to like, why am I talking like this?
Yeah.
And the Mjolnir doesn't just give her strength, it gives her access to information. So there's certain things she suddenly knows, which I had no idea about that. I mean, I've only read super old school Thor comics. I don't know if that's a current thing or if that's just with her or what. So that's what I got on Jane.
Well, before we dive into our thoughts and things, I'm going to go into Gorr real quick. So Gorr is obviously being played by Christian Bale. His first appearance was in 2013 in Thor God of Thunder, created by Jason Aaron and Isad Ribic. Gorr is an alien. He has a sad past. His mom has died protecting him from wild animals. And then he grows up, and guess what? His wife and kids also die, because in comic books, everybody dies at some, like, superheroes, safe. Your family, not so much. That said, as a result of life and all of the death, because the planet wasn't the best, his people started sacrificing their own kind to satisfy the gods. When that doesn't work, Gorr was shunned for suggesting that there were no gods. After being exiled, he comes across gods falling out of the sky while fighting, only one of which Gorr has believed to be dead. And the one clearly that is alive has asked Gorr for help. Believing them to be gods, Gorr was angered when the surviving one asked for help and has allowed his whole family to die. He then takes the sword that belongs to this presumed god and finishes him off because he is filled with anger and rage, and we all know it is path to the dark side. And from there, he gets the taste for blood. So Gorr has now become... He has killed the god that wasn't actually dead, was called Null, who gets his power from the Enigma Force, and he's the god of symbiotes. Interesting. I wonder if that's going to play a little role we'll talk about in a second. So all in all, Null has created Venom and Carnage. The sword that Gorr has taken was his Necro Sword. It bonds with Gorr, and after killing the one god with it, he develops powers and cannot die and gets an insatiable urge to kill all gods, which we kind of get a hint of in the trailer. He can travel through space, has super strength, and can create weapons with the sword that are not a sword, such as Green Lantern, maybe Kamala Khan, things like that. It can also go inside of his enemy and eat them from the inside out, which is pretty creepy. It's pretty badass. And as well as create black berserkers, which are like dinosaurs, basically. Gorr creates a planet called to house these gods, and he also has claimed to have tortured the god of torture. Gorr is known as the Thor villain, and at one point he almost kills all three Thors at once. He hates gods so much that he once made a god bomb, and he went back in time and killed an infant deity and kept the heart as a trophy. This guy is kind of badass. In case you didn't know, this guy is kind of savage. And
killing an infant makes you badass.
Would you kill baby Hitler?
I mean, sure, but does that make you badass, killing an infant?
Listen, he probably thinks he is, all right. I don't know.
No, I think he has some serious trauma from his home planet and losing his family.
Go back to should these people get therapy. So with his newfound powers, he was able to recreate his wife and son. Hello, Wanda. We have somebody to meet you. But then he kills his wife when she calls him a god, to which the son then teams up with Thor to take Gorr down. And he does not quite understand, in the grand scheme of everything, that this is what we call irony. So Thor was able to weaken Gorr with Agar, his son, denouncing Gorr as the god of hypocrisy before Thor's past self finally kills him. But then years and years later, King Loki brings him back when he is trying to get the black symbiote, because Loki is never up to anything good. And once again, he is defeated by Thor, but this time he returns back to a mortal form that was easy to contain. So I pose the question to you guys. How comic accurate are we going to get Gorr? How far do you think the MCU is going and Taika Waititi are going to take Gorr's story here?
Oh, I'm going to let one of our guests go first.
Yeah.
How comic accurate do you think Taika Waititi is going to take Thor?
How far are they willing to take Gorr, the God Butcher, and
there were
Thor Love and Thunder?
some scenes in the trailer that were straight out of the comics.
I don't know. It's a
hard question in the MCU. In the DC universe, you're like, oh yeah, definitely, it'll be Hush, or it'll be this, or it'll be that.
Marvel hasn't really been sticking to origins from the comics lately, so it's really hard to tell. The route that I think they're going, she's probably going to end up replacing Thor as Thor, but as we know in the comic books, she doesn't last as Lady Thor for long.
Right.
She can use her powers so much. I think they're probably going to get rid of that if she indeed is sick and then takes on the power of Thor. But I don't know. It just really depends on how they start piecing everything together in the movie. Like, we expect Thor to be with the Guardians, and I kind of expect him to be with the Guardians moving forward in the MCU. Like, there's no more Thor, God of Thunder. Like, no more Asgard for him. He's with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's right.
I have a feeling the Guardians are only going to be in like the first 10 minutes or something.
That's what I'm thinking as well.
I think we'll see them, then we'll get the montage, and then I think that one scene where he's incredibly good looking again is our goodbye. But do you think they're going to have... What'd you say?
He's incredibly good looking through the whole thing.
I mean, yes, it doesn't matter how Thor looks. He's incredibly good looking. I feel like Star-Lord won't be able to contain himself, and he'll like, all right, guys, we're out of here. Once the whole montage of Thor working out again, and he comes back jacked, ripped, the Thor that we all know, because Chris Hemsworth is a beautiful man. But
I took a HIT class the other day, and we had to do the ropes, and I'm just thinking about Thor and strongest Avenger hat that he's wearing. Do you think they'll have Jane be sick? You think they'll take that, or you think it'll be some? I think she got blipped. And
she did. It was confirmed in Endgame. She comes up on the list of people that were.
Oh, she does. Okay.
In Endgame, yes.
She's
like, it's been. Okay.
She did. So in Endgame, in the beginning, if you're looking, there is they're going through like the people who are missing and everything like that, and Jane Foster appears. So that leads into when she's like, what has it been, 3 years? And Thor's like, actually 8 years, blah, 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 because she was gone for that 5 years. So that to her, it's 3 years. To Thor, it's 8 years, 5 months.
Right. And that makes his depression make more sense too.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that they actually are pretty close to comic accurate, because there was rumors that they are going to follow the whole Jane cancer like storyline, but then now that might alter with the fact that when she was blipped, so it might be like a substitute for having cancer and all that. But we all know what scene, if we're talking comic accurate, there is the scene where it's Korg and Thor standing on whatever planet, and there's a dead god, and you hear him say like, "I knew that god," and so it started circulating around that it's strictly out of the comic. And as soon as I saw that, I downloaded not that long ago Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah.
To easily read comics instead of having to search for them and stuff like that. I can just read it on my phone and save my money to go buy the rare actual physical copies. But I read God of Thunder issues 1 through 11, which all pertain mainly to Gorr, just so I can kind of refresh a little bit of what I could potentially expect in this movie, to see what's missing and what is actually out of the comic. And I'm hoping And I know that a lot of people that I've talked to around here that they kind of mock the fact that I believe that Noel will make some kind of reference in this movie, which I'm really hoping for. But obviously what was it? The appearance of Gorr from comic to silver, the big screen is completely different, but Christian Bale looks phenomenal as the live adaptation of Gorr. And everyone has said that how he portrays it is extremely phenomenal. But like Jamal said, that he thinks that you think that Jane will take over at the mantle for Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what he said. That
Well, there's a rumor that, and I don't know if we're going into rumors just yet or like theories of what's going to happen, but
yeah, hit us with them.
There are talks and not expectations, but big hopes at least for Beta Ray Bill to show up at some point, like toward the end of the movie, and take over the mantle of Thor. Because in the comics,
That'd be amazing.
If I remember correctly, Beta Ray Bill is like a brother to Thor, and they hated each other for a little bit, but he ends up taking over Jonathan after Thor dies.
Is he going to steal Stormbreaker because it's his?
Yeah, because Stormbreaker was originally made for Beta Ray Bill, correct?
That's what I believe I've heard. Yeah, I haven't read the comics,
I have to brush back up, but I'm pretty sure that Stormbreaker is a his
first
Bill.
appearance. Yeah, was with Beta Ray Bill.
And
the
so,
Beta Ray Bill story, I would love that origin story too, because it's such a sweet story.
Well, we already got teased with Beta Ray Bill in Thor Ragnarok when Thor goes to the palace for I can't remember Jeff Goldblum's character in Ragnarok.
It's not Dr. Ian
He's
Malcolm.
the Grand Master.
The Grandmaster. His palace. If you look on the palace as they zoom in onto, you see like the statues of his fighters, and Beta Ray Bill's face is on the building, along with Hulk and like the other fighters. But so I think that it was kind of a nod that we know that Beta Ray Bill's in the universe. We just don't know if he's dead or if he's going to be making a future appearance. And if he does make a future appearance, this would be the movie that he steps in.
And Valkyrie should know him then.
Exactly.
That would make sense.
That's my thing. Valkyrie and Jane seem very chummy in the trailer. So I want to know, like, have they been hanging out? Like, have they been friends since the blip? Like, was Jane called to the broken... Because where did Hela break the Mjolnir? It was somewhere in Norway, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, they had just got done talking to Odin.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I believe that was somewhere in Norway. And that's where New Asgard is in Norway.
Yes.
So... was she called there? Was she, I can't wait to see that. And I really hope we do get any origin of their friendship, because I feel like we didn't get enough Valkyrie. It's like Valkyrie was a drunk and then all of a sudden she's completely sober.
She's the queen of or the king of Asgard.
Now that she's on Earth though, like how did that therapy work? She just needed to get off of
Look, we don't
now
do
the planet I can't
movies,
remember.
Okay.
What's the planet with
yeah, people to look after.
I can't remember the planet that Grandmaster's on, but yeah, she was just drunk and pretty much bounty hunting that whole time on that planet.
She was awesome though, even when she was drunk.
Honestly, she's one of my favorite characters in the Thor films now because of how she's just badass. Like Tessa Thompson is amazing. She plays her so well. And in Ragnarok, how she just comes,
Sakaar.
Yes, it's Sakaar. That's right. And so she's a drunk there, and then all this, she has a friendship with Hulk of all people. It's so crazy. Like, I don't know. So what are your guys' theories? What do you kind of, I know I don't like to get my hopes up, but we all have expectations, right? Like what we think is going to happen in these films. What do you guys think is going to happen? What are your kind of theories? What are things like that?
So if we're going to go, we'll just go straight to morbid. Apparently there's already speculation that Valkyrie will die at the hands of Gorr.
Oh, wow. That's one I hadn't heard yet. That is one I have not heard
not by
yet.
Thor, by Gorr.
Oh, Gorr.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that took a turn.
Well, because they focused really hard on this during the trailer. And granted, you can't base everything off the trailer, but they did focus a lot on Valkyrie fighting Gorr in the Shadow Realm. If no one understood why it was in black and white, it's because they're in Gorr's Shadow Realm. And so they focused on her fighting Gorr, and she's not up to par with Gorr's powers, but being a Valkyrie and that in her blood, she's not going to go down. She's not going to just sit down and just let whatever happen. She's going to give it her all.
Right.
And she what it looks like she's using one of Zeus's lightning bolts to fight him. Not entirely sure if that's what the lightning bolt is, but there is speculation that she'll die at the hands of Gorr before the end of the movie, and that's sad to think about. But
damn,
because it feels like somebody big's going to die. So interesting. I know everybody is speculating that Chris Hemsworth is done with Thor after this. But you think it's Valkyrie. Interesting. Well, before we get to our thoughts, Jamal, what are you kind of thinking?
This is probably one movie that, Marvel's doing that I really have no idea. Like, literally have no idea what direction they can go in. It's just one of those, it seems like a one-off thing.
Yeah.
Like, what they do won't have a major impact. Like, it'll still have an impact moving down, but I don't know, man. Like, it's most movies I can be like, all right, they're going to do this, they're going to do this, we're going to see this character. I think, most of us here can say, like, we want to see Beta Ray Bill. I really thought when they casted Christian Bale, like, that's who he was going to play.
That's who I thought, too.
Oh, I can see that.
It is very interesting.
I don't know. It's really tough.
I mean, we've gone now. This is our 4th Thor solo film, which is more than any other MCU character, and so it's very. Is there a clock ticking before we get Beta Ray Bill? Because it's almost like they've teased it in some regards, and it's almost we're waiting for that other shoe to drop. And I wonder if this is the film. Will Taika do it? Who knows?
Taika has just been a phenomenal director. He's been a phenomenal addition to the whole Thor thing. Like, he's absolutely killed it. He makes it's fun. It's also serious. And I feel like he's done pretty accurate with what he's able to do with Thor. And I just love the fact that he includes himself into the movie while he's still directing it.
Oh yeah, fully agree.
But I know a lot of people were questioning why this movie was coming out, because I've heard people say, well, this has nothing to do with the whole multiverse scheme that they are entering with Phase 4 and all that. Well, if you haven't read the comics, when Gorr makes the God Bomb is to destroy every god on every timeline. So I feel like there's going to be multiversial, I think that's correct, travel through the movie, and it's going to play into the whole of Phase 4. And because I read somewhere that this will pretty much close out Phase 4 in the MCU, and then Phase 5 will jumpstart before the end of the year.
See, it's interesting you say that, because I have heard that this movie sets up the overarching what's going, like, this movie has very big ramifications for the MCU, is what I have heard personally. Now, I don't know what that means. Like you said, like,
right.
I know everybody's expecting at this point, are we going to the multiverse? Are we going to the multiverse? I'm okay if they don't, just because to me, it doesn't really make sense that Thor is in the multiverse in this particular film.
I mean, we know there's other Thors. We saw Thor Frog.
And so it's, I am very curious to see what does that mean, because people are speculating that Chris Hemsworth, this is his last outing as Thor, but then Chris Hemsworth has also said that he'll play Thor until they tell him he can't no longer. Because, I mean, why wouldn't you hitch your ride to the MCU and just continue to do this if you're good at it? Number one. Number two is the MCU is just paying the bills. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, he also likes working out. He has like a working out app, and like a lot of these people, like Hugh Jackman's, like, it's a lot of work to maintain that Wolverine physique. Whereas I think Chris Hemsworth is going to do that anyways.
He's a real life Australian god. Look at the man.
I've looked at the man. I know.
I have too.
And we're getting more of them in this one.
We are.
But no, Nick, that was interesting. You mentioned a couple things. Like, one, Wanda destroyed all the Darkholds and all the multiverses.
Yep.
And that also made me think about, did she destroy the Darkhold in Runaways? Did she destroy the Darkhold in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? So how far of this are they really going to pull all this covering multiple multiverses in this movie? Because they got to keep track of it. I mean, they did time travel and that made me nervous. And now we're doing multiverses.
Yeah, I think everyone was nervous in Endgame when they did the whole time travel. Like, nobody was really on board with it, but it played out. There are some things that I want them to still follow up on, and that's a whole talk for another time.
Like Captain America.
Yeah, that's mainly where I'm nodding toward. But like Matt said, how you're not necessarily. They don't have to cover the whole multiverse in Thor, and I don't think they will. But I think that they will mention it, and that's like that. We won't see other variants of Thor or like Lady Jane, Valkyrie, et cetera, but there will be mention of the multiverse, and with the whole God Bomb that could potentially disrupt the whole timeline.
Yeah,
which
that's true.
We've already seen a lot of touching of the timeline from Loki, Doctor Strange, WandaVision, and so on and so forth. So I feel like they can mention it, and the movie will still be exactly where it needs to be.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Lauren, what are your theories? What are your thoughts?
I have no theories. I have only questions.
I will say, if they do the Jane cancer storyline, my one theory that I'm hitching my wagon to is that this is the final film that we will see Jane in.
You know, I'm just glad she's back because
me too.
She was almost like dismissed as a character.
Yeah.
And I would, do you think we'll get Darcy? We have to have at least a mention.
Meow meow.
I was hoping someone would bring her up because I want Kat Dennings more and more in the MCU. Ever since she was in WandaVision, I want more.
Oh, they have to bring her back after
her and Jimmy Woo need their own spinoff.
That's what I'm saying. She has to come back in some regard after WandaVision.
They need to work for damage control and talk the people off a cliff. Like, stop being mean. That's one version of the story. We need more Jimmy Woo and Darcy.
It's true.
So, talking about the different multiverses too, there was one version of Jane as Thor where she was a variant and Loki was a variant, and our Loki and our Thor ended up somewhere where they weren't supposed to and ran into their female equivalents, variants, whatever you want to call it. So who knows? I don't know. But yeah, last time we saw Jane was End of Dark World and they were making out. And then there was a brief mention of her dumping him in Ragnarok when that girl took the picture. And then he mentioned her in Endgame and looked very sad and talked about how smart she was. And yeah, we need more of
closure.
her.
I feel like this movie's going to be, they've marketed it like it's going to be a very upbeat, great film, but I feel like it's going to hit very emotionally.
Going to have a lot of ups and downs. Yeah.
Well, do you guys have any final thoughts as far as Thor Love and Thunder goes?
I think that did anyone else read the comics of the God of Thunder 1 through 11 that pertains slightly to this movie?
I have okay. Just to brush up for this film.
Okay, and that's what I did too. So you noticed that there were 3 Thors, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so there's another rumor going around that Chris Hemsworth's Thor will take on his final, and I feel like I referenced like Cell from Dragon Ball Z. He's taking on his final form.
Oh man, yes, I'm glad
he'll become Thor. He'll become the All-Father.
Oh,
interesting.
That would be interesting to see. I don't know where they would go with it, but he would potentially become Odin in a sense.
I mean, that makes sense.
It would make sense. That's natural progression for his character at this point.
And then he's allowed to age because, he may be immortal, but he definitely aged since the first Thor movie.
Yeah, it's true. So, Nick, why don't you go ahead as we wrap up here, let everybody know where they can find you, promote your podcast, and tell all the good, fine folks the good word of the Oklahomie.
So currently, you can find my podcast on any major podcast platform, be it Apple, Google, Spotify, and if you're feeling adventurous, somewhere on Anchor. But it's easy to find, your friendly neighborhood Oklahomie. I do have a bit of news that I'm in the process of, that will pertain more to the foundation of my podcast within the next week. So once that changes, you can find all that information on the podcast and or on my Twitter, which is the Oklahomie Pod. And if you like funny videos, you can also find me at the Oklahomie Spider-Man on TikTok, because I don't know who decided to let me be on TikTok, but they are a damn fool.
Matt made me go on
none
TikTok.
Of us, yeah, it's funny because I got Lauren into the TikTok and now she does 90% of it and I feel bad. And
I feel like every TikTok I see of Lauren is like she lives at Disney World.
She does. More or less. That's why I'm like, Lauren, now here you go, because you have a far more interesting life than me just in a field of potatoes.
We probably only go like 3 times a month. We don't go that often.
Oh, okay.
But
I feel
I
yeah.
have flatland out here, so we don't get that.
Yeah, I'm in Idaho, so I mean, talk to me in August, but
Well, that's why I almost missed Jamal's beer because they released it on May the 4th, and I was at Galaxy's Edge all damn
true.
day.
That is true. We did have a
So
talk
by the
about
time
that.
I was passing by because Rockpit's on my way home from Disney, I've stopped at Rockpit before to pick up beer on the way home from Disney, and Rockpit was closed by the time I left at Galaxy's Edge.
It's true.
There was a whole lightsaber thing going on when we were leaving. We couldn't leave.
That's so awesome. I can't wait to do mine. So, Jamal, that said, my man, number one, I hope next time I'm in Florida, we can properly share a beer together. Number two,
Beer share.
Well, yeah, like I said, we brushed shoulders, but we didn't know it at the time. And so
He hosted a bottle share at Rockpit on Sunday that I couldn't go to because we just gotten back from Miami. So
I did not have a bottle share. Someone moved out here and wanted to get Orlando people together. And I just happen to be the guy in Orlando that is known for bringing people together. So
I was going to say, you're the one that told me about it. I thought it was your bottle share.
You're the guy in Orlando. That's no small feat, man. That's no small feat. That's it.
I definitely want to plan another one soon. Probably try to not be as big as the Ivanhoe one. That one we had like 40 plus people.
Wow.
That was the weekend you were here, Matt.
Yeah. That was insane.
That's right. There were a lot of people. That's probably why we got so overwhelmed. But let everybody know where they can find you then, and yeah, promote yourself. This is your platform.
I mean, it's just Instagram for me. At the Hop Circles. We'll be on Twitch soon. For gaming, nerdy shit, home brewing.
Hell yeah!
But yeah, just now it's just Instagram. That's the only social media that I really use.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to like promoting stuff. Not accepting bear trades right now.
I understand that. I understand that completely.
You. Do not blame you.
But this wasn't even his only collab with Rockpit. He's done more than one collab with Rockpit.
Yeah. Humble. So you guys, sincerely, I appreciate you guys coming on and joining us for our pre-show for Thor Love and Thunder. The movie comes out this week, so I can't wait to kind of talk with you guys and be like, hey, guess what? We were so wrong. And that's the joy of it, to be like,
probably
we weren't even close. Or maybe it's like, hey, guess what? We predicted it. You can go listen to it here or check us out here.
I did predict what's her face's story in Obi-Wan. I do have one theory, and I'm going to see if this pans out.
I have a story in Obi-Wan.
I think a lot of us did. So Zeus is in the trailer, and Nick made the good comment. The trailers, even MCU ones, they intentionally throw us off sometimes. But is Gorr going after Zeus, or is maybe Thor recruiting Zeus because Gorr goes after gods and Zeus is a god?
I don't think that Gorr would collaborate to recruit anybody. I think he's that.
No, Thor.
Oh, Thor.
Yeah.
Yes, he might be. He will, because that scene where they're at, and I can't remember what the place is even called, and I just got done reading the comics. But that place is where gods go to meet, and that's like where like the sacred librarian is.
It's not Olympus?
No, it's not Olympus. It's like I can't remember what it's called, but like you saw in the trailer, you even see two celestials.
Yeah, that's right.
I did not.
Yeah.
Up there, and so that tells. I mean, that's connecting. So, and that's it connects to Eternals, but you're also probably going to see like potential gods from Moon Knight, or you're going to see gods from I don't know where else.
I opened a can of worms. Damn. I'm super excited now. And for anybody who doesn't want to hear any spoilers for the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride in Orlando, cover your ears. 3, 2, 1. There's a Celestial in the ride.
What?
Before this ends, I just want everyone to keep this in the back of their head. Will Tom Hiddleston make an appearance in Thor Love and Thunder?
They have to meet back up. They have to. You can't end Thor's story without them meeting back up in some regard, especially with how Loki has come back around, and that's his 2012 self.
I don't know. I wouldn't put my money on it.
I don't know that he'll show up here, but I would almost bet that Thor shows up in his show before he shows up in a Thor movie.
I think I agree.
I guess we're going to find out this week, right?
I know. We're a week away,
awesome.
Man. We're so close. A week from like right now.
Friday at like 6 o'clock. Friday, 6 o'clock for me.
Nice. Hell yeah. I'm Thursday at 6:45.
I haven't booked him yet. My husband hasn't told me if he's coming or not. I need to book him.
It doesn't matter. You should just buy 2 tickets, and then worst case, I don't know. But we thank you guys for coming on and everybody for tuning in. If, once again, as a reminder, go to hopsnews.beer, check our articles, check our podcasts, all that good stuff. Go to our social medias, Hops Geek News. That's where you can find all of our good stuff. Go to the dorksideoftheforest.com, and you'll find my articles that are out right now. I've at this point probably have 6 or 7 out at this moment. So go ahead, read a lot of good content that creators are putting out there about Star Wars. And until next time, everybody, cheers.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.